Hello, and welcome back to Life and Lessons of Me. I'm Jordan, and I'm your host, and I'm me. So, in any case, there's one episode that I made that was warm. It had a lot of views. It was like 600 something views. So, my theory is I was super enthusiastic about what I was talking about, and I was kind of entertaining. So, today's episode is about air travel, and hopefully, it's going to be funny and eye opening for some people. But I'm just trying to be entertaining because this is a topic that I get very heated about, and it can be very funny when I'm talking about it. So let's get right into it. So, air travel, it's a thing. It's been around for forever. And something you might not realize is that people can fly with wheelchairs. I mean, you see strollers and shit all the time. So, they can fly with strollers and stuff, and they're easy to fold, and they just chuck it in the bottom, but with a 350-pound wheelchair, you can't exactly just chuck it in the bottom. Like, I've seen it get on the plane one time. It was freaky as heck. I was like, there's just like six dudes around it picking that shit up. Like, yeah, that seems efficient and safe for those guys, including my equipment. Like, what people don't get is that disabled people generally don't fly because of the fact that the chair has to go underneath the plane. It is not on anyone's radar, at least the big airlines, to have the chair be able to fit onto the plane, and just sit in the chair as a plane seat. Like, I don't care. I'll pay the damn money for the ticket, like, for frick's sake. But they won't do that because they don't want to get rid of a seat. So, yeah. And then on top of that, there's all this FAA stuff about weight and blah, 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 and where stuff has to go. And part of it is probably because of the batteries. Like, the cargo hold is fireproof-ish. So if said batteries were to spontaneously combust for some reason, poof, like it's probably for safety. But you know how they sometimes are like, can you move over to this side of the plane so we're not off weight and blah blah blah? Like, okay, so I'll just be on one side of the plane and they gotta adjust it. Like math. I don't know. But anyway, in my case, I've been lucky enough to not have anything seriously get damaged, which is good. But flying is a very stressful situation. I mean, it's not impossible. It's just not fun at all. Like, for example, another insight into what it's like to fly with a power chair and not be an old person who can just like stand up and walk through the freaking security thing. Like, I have to drive through the metal detector, obviously gonna set it off. So yeah, no surprise there. And then once I'm through, they usually have to call a guy over to pat me down, and they need it to be a dude, and sometimes it's not a dude there, so they have to call a dude, and then it takes like 5 minutes. And all the while, you're thinking about, am I going to get to the plane on time to pre-board and get on the plane before everyone else? I mean, because it takes a while for me to get on the plane. They got to put me in this aisle chair thing, strap me in, and then bring me onto the plane and transfer me from the aisle chair into the seat. And trust me, plane seats suck. Most people will know plane seats are not the best. Um, but even before that, let's go back to security. Like, so, TSA, completely useless. Like, I mean, honestly, if somebody walks into an airport with a firearm, this is completely worst case scenario, nutty situation. Like, what's the TSA gonna do? What are they gonna do? They don't have guns. They're completely, they just stand there and man the X-ray machine. Like, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Like, it's just, what are they gonna do? They're almost as useless as the mailman, but we need the mailman. So, I mean, I get why they exist, but come on. Here's what they do to me. They pat me down, they wind me down, whatever. I don't have any metal on me, the usual. And then they have to use this swabby thing to swab me down and check if I have any bomb making material residue anywhere on me, because I am definitely an improvised explosive device. I'm definitely an IED, guys. I'm so intentionally going in there with a power chair to just blow it up. Like, again, if you don't understand sarcasm, that was completely sarcasm, and I'm not psycho, okay? I'm not psycho. Not psycho. In any case, I get wiped down and then they check it and then it's green. And I'm like, oh, really? I didn't make any bombs today. Shocking. Like, did you make a bomb today? No. Are you a bomb? I mean, I'm the bomb, but like in a good way. So I'm like, guys, not an explosive. I mean, let me just use my little floppy arms that don't even work to just whip out this AK and just like let everybody up. Like, because I'm so gonna do that. Like, again, joking, joking. But after they like greenlight me, I'm like, oh really? No shit. Like, and then one time they literally used the mirror thing that looks under cars. They used it on me. I'm like, guys, I'm not gonna blow up unless you're talking about me taking a massive shit. But anyway, it's very degrading, and I don't like it, and it's annoying, and it takes way too long, and yeah, basically the TSA is completely useless. I mean, the other thing is, like, they have to get all this information about it, about the chair, and they're like, okay, well, how heavy is it, and blah, 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 and this, and this, and this. And then, like, what people don't think about is, you know how sometimes luggage doesn't end up on your plane? Yeah, what in the worst possible case scenario? Like, what? It's crazy. So I choose not to think about it. I don't want to add stress to an already stressful situation. Like, it's just, it's not that I can't handle it. It's just freaking a pain in the ass. So I'm going to San Francisco on Saturday, and the plane ride's going to be the worst part of the trip. But after that, it should be great because I've never been there. I'm only I'm only going to do this once. Like, I ain't going again, to be honest with you. Like, I ain't going to do it because the air travel thing and the 5-hour flight and the sitting on the plane seat, and how do I go pee? Um, yeah, you don't want to know. No. I mean, they do have an aisle chair on the plane, but can you imagine that? Trying to get my ass into an aisle chair while the plane is moving and like turbulence and like, no, it's just no. Nope. No, sir. So, yeah, I mean, also, like, here's something you don't think about. If said plane was to have a crash landing and we all didn't die, and it was fine, how do I get off the plane? I don't even want to know. Like, I'd rather just blow up when we hit the ground so I don't have to deal with getting off the plane that crash landed. Like, yeah, I'd rather just kablamo and splat all over the side of a mountain. Like, but air travel is pretty interesting, actually. Like, um, the pilots only fly the plane for like 5 minutes. Oh, and also, we're on the 737-8, which is the one that crashed a bunch of times. So, although they did fix the problem and now it should be fine. I mean, remember when they were all grounded? Yeah, there was a documentary on Netflix. I highly recommend you watch that. Luckily, on the way back, we're on an Airbus, so those are even more pilot don't fly the plane. Like, it's all computerized and people don't know. It's kind of interesting. Like, I like air travel and how planes work and all that stuff. It's very interesting to me. And I also believe that all the things that I said about how you could get a wheelchair on a plane, you could absolutely do it. I just think there's not enough space with how the plane is laid out. Like, if I'm thinking about how I get on the plane, like the door, like there's the cockpit and the galley in the front and the lavatory, and there's not space. There is no space. So in order for them to get a wheelchair on the plane, they would have to either completely redesign the interior of said plane or completely make a new aircraft that is designed already with that in mind, with getting wheelchair on the plane. And they are actually in the process of doing this, but they have to juggle all the red tape with the FAA and like I assume the NTSB. I don't know if that's like just after stuff blows up that they come in, but anyway, but it's definitely FAA regulations. Be like that's the most problematic thing. Like I don't know what the FAA regulations are. I might actually want to research it now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, it's in development actually. They're developing a commuter-ish plane. It's I think it was like 30 seats or something, but it was like rows of two down the one end and rows of three down the other end, and a bigger aisle space, and it's designed just to be easier access wise for anybody, including me. But then you got to go like, okay, like what's the tie downs and all this stuff and blah blah blah, and they have to make sure it's safe, obviously. And I don't know how they were going to test it, so it should be interesting. But yeah, I actually like how things work. So like planes are interesting to me. I just don't like having to go through the airport part. And then, and then sometimes, for example, at the Philadelphia airport, if I get off the plane in the international terminal, which sometimes happens, they have to bring my wheelchair all the way to this stupid elevator, depending on what gate I'm at. It could take a while. And then it's like people don't realize like it's like getting your legs cut off. It is. Like you have no legs and you're at the mercy of everything. And it's just something that nobody thinks about because who's just gonna not have their legs attached to them unless you have prosthetic limbs. Like it's like somebody who is an amputee losing both of their prosthetic limbs at the same time. How are they gonna walk? They got no legs. Lieutenant Dan, you got new legs. Like basically that's what it is. They're taking my mobility and some of my freedom away. And I'm not a fan. Maybe I get separation anxiety. This is my wheelchair. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Without me, my wheelchair is nothing. Without my wheelchair, I am nothing. Joe Swanson. No. Wait. Yeah, that is his name. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Shut up! Like, oh my gosh. If you need to look that up, that's from Family Guy, and it's classic. And you should definitely look that up. Yeah. But anyway, sometimes it takes a while for that shit to get off the plane, and I'm just sitting there like, because what else can I do? I just have to sit there and wait. Oh, and not to mention our flight's at 6:45 in the morning, um, which is not fun at all. But whatever, it's fine. Like by the time we get there, it'll feel like 12 to our bodies, but it'll be 9 o'clock. So that's kind of interesting, actually. The whole fact that you're flying backwards in time. So that should be fun. And then we're going to see Alcatraz and the Golden Gate Bridge and the Redwood Forest, which I really want to see because I'm a Star Wars dork. And that's where they filmed the scenes on Endor with the speeder bikes. And yeah, so that should be interesting. Also, it's iconic from Bumblebee, that view from the park overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge. That's what I want to. I want to be in that spot. Like we're gonna go to Alcatraz. I already said that. I think. Maybe do a whale watching thing. I've never seen a whale in real life, so that'd be cool. I've seen dolphins, but never a whale. Unless I look at my no, I was gonna make a joke and offensive. Anyway, if you're somebody who's like, oh my god, he just said all that stuff about the airport and blah blah blah, and I'm gonna report it, don't do that. This is all jokes. Completely joking. I'm not a psycho. Disclaimer, not a psycho. So I just think it's hilarious that they wipe me down and see if I'm like making bombs or I am a bomb or anything like that. Like, dude, do you think I would come to an airport if I wanted to explode? Like really? Do you think I would come to where they would definitely discover it? No, I would not. I'm smarter than that. But again, jokes. Do not take this literally. I am not speaking in literal terms. I'm speaking in hyperbole mostly because that's what I do. And I also talk really fast, if you hadn't noticed. But yeah. So, if you're ever like, I wonder why people in wheelchairs don't travel very many places. That's why. But I've never been people in a wheelchair. I've been a guy that uses a wheelchair. That's what I like to describe myself as. I'm not like, I'm just a regular guy stuck in adverse circumstances. So that is my mindset, and that's why I fly on planes, because normal people fly on planes. Why should I not? Just because it's a stressful thing, like, whatever. People get stressed about air travel all the time. It's not like a rare thing, but it's not like I'm stressed about the plane just crashing into the ocean. Like, no. But that documentary on Netflix about the 737-8, very interesting. I would go watch that, because it's an eye opener. I do not know how any airline has been able to, like, I don't know why they would even buy a Boeing plane anymore. Like, just because it says Boeing doesn't mean it's gonna be functional. Like the whole thing was ridiculous. Like, now I'm talking about this whole thing, because now I'm like, I watched the documentary, I understand how it works. So basically, with the 737-8, they put bigger engines on it that were more fuel efficient, and whatever. They were heavier than the other engines, so they had to move the engine mounts forward, which caused the plane to sometimes pitch up and go into a stall. So they designed the MCAS system, which was designed to automatically prevent said stall from happening. However, they didn't tell anybody, A, including the FAA. They did not tell them that it was even on the plane, to get around the fact that they would have to use a simulator and spend money to train pilots on how it worked. So yeah, that's kind of what happened. And the two planes that did crash, it wasn't pilot error. It wasn't anything like that. It was Boeing failed to tell anybody that the MCAS system was even on the plane. So when it went off and went nuts, nobody knew how to stop it from going nuts, and they crashed. So yeah, but they fixed that. So it's fine. It's ungrounded. Plane works fine. However, it's impossible to just look at Boeing as a company the same way ever again. Like, and they go into depth, like, where this change happened, where it was less about making functional, good, iconic aircraft to making lots of aircraft very fast for very much money. So yeah, as a capitalist country, I mean, not shocking that they would do that. But as a company, that, like, their integrity just went out the window. Like, you can't do that. Historically, Boeing has been a great producer of aircraft, and then they went from being great quality aircraft to being shit money making, like, everywhere aircraft. Like, it's really interesting. If you watch the documentary, I really suggest you do. It's on Netflix. It's very interesting, because it also talks about how in the factory itself they went from having a lot of testers and checkers of the manufacturing to check to make sure everything was built properly. They have way less of those now, like the quality control people. Yeah, it's bad. It's not great. So if you watch that, you might be like, F Boeing, blah, blah, blah. Like, I mean, again, Boeing has made some wonderful, great aircraft, but the 737, that thing is outdated and old as heck. They need to redesign it, like, completely. Like, overhaul the entire design. Just new airplane. No more 737, because that aircraft design has been used since literally, I don't know, I want to say the 50s. It's old. And they keep slapping new engines on it and be like, hey, it's a new plane now. We've updated all the avionics and made it more computerized and blah, blah, blah. And like, yeah. And everyone's just like, why didn't you? It's all for money. Follow the money. Gotta follow the money. So anyway, that's my little rant on air travel in general and about Boeing specifically. So without further ado, I'm going to end the episode, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one, and like, follow, subscribe, etc., YouTube stuff. And have a good one.